Abhay Sharnaravinda Bhaktivedanta Swamy Srila Prabhupada ki, ISKCON founder Acharya PPT founder Acharya Sevar of the whole world Srila Prabhupada ki, Srimad Bhagavatam ki, Nitai Gaur Premanand. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrutyam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudirayet Nashtaprayesha Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 19, text number 2 to 14. 14th verse we will recite. I'll repeat till then. Tata sapatnam mukataha charantam akuto bayam jaganotpatya ghadaya hanav asuram akshajaha. The Lord who had appeared from the nostril of Brahma sprang and aimed his mace at the chin of his enemy, the Hiranyaksha demon, who was stalking fearlessly before him. Sa hatatena gadaya vihata bhagavat karat Vighurnita patad reje tad adbhutam iva bhavat. Struck by the demon's mace, however, the Lord's mace slipped from his hand and looked splendid as if it fell down whirling. This was miraculous, for the mace was blazing wonderfully. Satada labda tirtopi nabhavade nirayudam manayan samrude dharmam visvakshenam prakopayan. Even though the demon had an excellent opportunity to strike his unarmed foe without obstruction, he respected the law of single combat, thereby kindling the fury of the Supreme Lord. Gadayam apavidhayam hahakare vinirgate manayamasha tadharmam sunabam chasmarad vibhuhu. As the Lord's mace fell to the ground and a cry of alarm arose from the witnessing crowd of gods and rishis, the personality of Godhead acknowledged the demon's love of righteousness and therefore invoked his Sudarśana discus. Tad vyagra chakram diti putradamena swaparshata mukyena visajjamanam chitravacho atad vidam kecharanam tatra smasan swastite amum jahiti. As the discus began to revolve in the Lord's hands and the Lord contended at close quarters with the chief of his Vaikuntha attendants, who had been born as Hiranyaksha, a wild son of Diti, there issued from every direction strange expressions uttered by those who were witnessing from airplanes. They had no knowledge of the Lord's reality, and they cried, "May victory attend you! Pray dispatch him! Play no more with him!" Satam nisham yata rathangam agrato vyavastitam padma palasalochanam vilokya chamarsha pariplutendriyo rushasvadanta chaddam adasat swashan. When the demon saw the personality of Godhead, who had eyes just like lotus petals, standing in position before him, armed with his Sudarśana discus, his senses were overpowered by indignation. He began to hiss like a serpent, and he bit his lip in great resentment. Karala damshas chakshurabhyam sanchakshano dahan iva abhiplutya swagadaya hato asiti ahanadharim. The demon, who had fearful tusks, stared at the personality of Godhead, as though to burn him. Springing into the air, he aimed his mace at the Lord, exclaiming at the same time, "You are slain." Padasavyena tam sado bhagavan yajna shukaraha leelaya mishatah shatro praharadvata ramhasam. O saintly Vidura, while his enemy looked on, the Lord in his boar form, the enjoyer of all sacrificial offerings, playfully knocked down the mace with his left foot, even as it came upon him with the force of a tempest. Aha chayudam adatsva gatasva tvam jigishashi iti yukta satada bhuyas tadayan vyanadad brisham. The Lord then said, "Take up your weapon and try again. Eager as you are to conquer me." Challenged in these words, the demon aimed his mace at the Lord and once more loudly roared. Tamsa apatatim viksha bhagavan samavastitaha jagraha leelaya praptam garutman iva pannagim. When the Lord saw the mace flying towards him, he stood firmly where he was, and caught it with the same ease as Garuda, the king of birds, would seize a serpent. Swapaurushe pratihate hatamano mahasuraha naichat gadam diyamanam harina vigata prabaha. His valor was thus frustrated. The great demon felt humiliated and was put out of countenance. He was reluctant to take back the mace when it was offered by the personality of Godhead. Jagraha trisikam shulam jvala jvalana lulupam yajnaya dhruta rupaya viprabhya abhicharan yata. He now took a trident which was as rapacious as a flaming fire and hurled it against the Lord, the enjoyer of all sacrifices, even as one would use penance for a malevolent purpose against a holy Brahmana. Tad ojasa daitya maha bhatarpitam chakasad antakka udina diditi chakrena chicheda nishata nemina hariryata tarksha patatram vujhitam. Okay, this verse will repeat. Tat ojasa daitya maha bhata arpitam. Tad ojasa daitya maha bhata arpitam. Chakasad antakkaye udirna ditihi. Chakasad antakka udirna diditi. Chakrena chicheda nishada nemina. Chakrena chicheda nishata nemina. Harihi yata tarksha patatram ujhitam. Hariryata tarksha patatram ujhitam. Tamojasa daitya mahabhatarpitam. Chakasadantakka udina diditi. Chakrena chicheda nishata nemina. Hariryata tarksha patatram ujhitam. Tad ojasa daitya mahabhatarpitam. Chakasadantakka udina diditi. Chakrena chicheda nishata nemina. Hariryata tarksha patatram ujhitam. That trident, Ojasa, with all his strength, Daitya, among the demons, Mahabhata, by the mighty fighter, Arpitam, hurled, Chakasat, shining, Antake, in the middle of the sky, Uddhirna, increased, Diditi, illumination, Chakrena, by the Sudarśana disc. Chicheda, he cut to pieces. Nishata, sharpened. Nemina, rim. Harihi, Indra, Yata, as. Tarksha, of Garuda. Patatram, the wing. Ujhitam, abundant. Translation and purport by Jagadguru Srila Prabhupada. Hurled by the mighty demon with all his strength, the flying trident shone brightly in the sky. The personality of Godhead, however, tore it to pieces with his discus Sudarśana, which had a sharp-edged rim, even as Indra cut off a wing of Garuda. Please repeat the translation. Hurled by the mighty demon with all his strength. The flying trident shone brightly in the sky. The personality of Godhead, however, tore it to pieces with his Sudarśana discus, which had a sharp-edged rim, even as Indra cut off a wing of Garuḍa. The purport by Srila Prabhupada. The context of the reference given herein is regarding Garuḍa and Indra is this. Once upon a time, Garuḍa, the carrier of the Lord, snatched away a nectar pot from the hands of the demigods in heaven in order to liberate his mother, Vinata, from the clutches of his stepmother, Kadru, the mother of the serpents. On learning of this, Indra, the king of heaven, hurled his thunderbolt against Garuḍa. With a view to respect the infallibility of Indra's weapon, Garuḍa, though otherwise invincible, being the Lord's own mount, dropped one of his wings, which was shattered to pieces by the thunderbolt. The inhabitants of higher planets are so sensible that even in the process of fighting, they observe the preliminary rules and regulations of gentleness. In this case, Garuḍa wanted to show respect for Indra. Since he knew that Indra's weapon must destroy something, he offered his wing. Doesn't see Bhaktivedanta purport. Om ajnanatimiraandasya jnananjana shalakaya chakshurum militam yena tasmai shri gurave namaha namavom vishnupadaya krishna preshtaya bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamin niti namine namaste saraswate deve gauravani pracharine nirvishesha shunyavadi paschatya deshatarine jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktarunda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So we are seeing the fight between Hiranyaksha and Lord Varaha. So the technical details were elaborated by Maitreya. The fight was happening on the Garbhodaka ocean. And the technical details of a Kshatriya perspective of spirit of fighting was also explained in these verses here. Tad ojasa daitya maha batarpitam. Tad ojasa, with his strength, daitya, this demon Hiranyaksha, bata arpitam, maha bata arpitam, with his mighty capacity. He is a mighty fighter, he is a hefty personality, he is not a normal man. Chakasad antakke udina diditi. He threw that trident towards the Lord, and when it was flying in the sky, it was showing brilliantly, illuminating brilliantly. Chakrena chicheta nishata nemina. What was the Lord's response to that? Chakrena chicheda. With his Sudarśana chakra, he cut to pieces, chicheda. Nishata nemina. How that was chakra was? It was having sharp rim. It was so sharp. Hariryata tarksha patatram ujhitam. As Indra threw his thunderbolt upon Garuḍa, and Garuḍa offered its wing for the purpose of shattering the effect of thunderbolt. So that's what it says in the translation. Hurled by the mighty demon with all his strength, tad ojasa daitya maha batarpitam, the flying trident shone brilliantly in the sky. Chakashad antakke udirna diditi. The personality of Godhead, however, tore it to pieces with his discus Sudarśana. Chakrena chichedaha, which had a sharp edged rim. Nishata nemina. Even as Indra cut off a wing of Garuḍa, hariryata tarksha patatram ujhitam. So, to understand what is this Sudarshan chakra, what is so specialty of this Sudarshan chakra, in one place Prabhupada explains. The disc or chakra signifies the universal mind or awareness. It rids of all darkness wherever it appears, and thus shows the path of higher awareness. This disc is called Sudarśana, the limitless power and the light that destroys all forms of ignorance. Lord Vishnu allows it to cut off the heads of envious demons. It has 6 spokes and shows the revolving nature of the universe around an unmoving and changeless center. The chakra, when shown alone, is often viewed as a person with 4, 8 or 16 arms, holding such items as a bow, arrow, trident, noose and a pocket. They are said to represent the will and power of the Lord to not only create but also destroy this universe. So the Sudarshan chakra is shown as a personality, either 16 armed, 8 arms on the either side, or 32 armed, 16 arms on the either side. We have Sudarshana in the altar here. So whenever Abhishekam happens, Chakrasthana happens to the Sudarshana chakra. He is represented as a Lord to go and take bath in the Kalyani. And what is the Sudarshan chakra? One more place Prabhupada explains. Sudarshan chakra is the glance of the Supreme Lord, by which he creates the entire material world. Sa aikshata, sa ashrujata. This is the Vedic version. Sudarshan chakra, which is the origin of creation and is most dear to the Lord, has thousands of spokes. This Sudarshan chakra is the killer of prowess of all other weapons, the killer of darkness, the manifester of prowess of the devotional service. It is the means of establishing religious principles, and it is the killer of all irreligious activities. Without his mercy, the universe cannot be maintained, and therefore Sudarshan chakra is employed by the Supreme Lord. So it has many functionalities. So that's why it was used by the Lord, and it was most dear to the Lord also. So when this fight is happening, Sudarshan Lord with the mighty demon Hiranyaksha, one place it is said that the etiquette of the Kshatriyas was followed in the fighting battlefield. It is said that two equal personalities have to fight. They should be on the same platform. If one is on the horse, the other man also should be on the horse. If one is on a camel, he should be on the camel. If one is fighting on an elephant, he should be fighting on an elephant. If one is fighting on a chariot, the opposite person should be on the chariot. And if by chance the opposite person's weapon has fallen down, either he should provide an equivalent weapon to him, or both of them should fight without weapons. This we observed many places in other, like Jarasandha and Bhima was fighting. First they fought with weapons, they fought with stones, they fought with trees. Finally they fought with fist to fist. Even Arjuna and many places also in Mahabharata we see this context. Only at couple of places we see that this etiquette was not followed. One was by killing that son of Uttara, Abhimanyu. The war should be friend to friend, face to face. This boy, 16-year-old boy, he was so capable that he could silence all the other Maharathas, including Bhishma. So they were feeling at that time some insecurity that this boy was going to defeat them. And Jayadratha, having so much enviousness towards Pandavas, he was the first person to backstab Abhimanyu while the fighting was happening with somebody else. So this event was not followed of Kshatriya Dharma. And one more place was where it was not followed was when Arjuna was trying to kill Karna. At that time Karna's chariot was stuck in the mud. He was trying to lift his chariot, he got down the chariot. And Krishna inspired Arjuna to aim his arrow towards Karna. Then Karna starts talking, saying that it is not an etiquette of a Kshatriya to fight when somebody is unarmed. It was not the proper duty. It is not a religious dharma of a Kshatriya or war fighting. So Krishna says, since he did not follow the etiquette while killing Abhimanyu, so he is not fit for that action. You did not follow and you are recommending others to follow. This is not a proper way. And Karna had a shap of or a curse that he had to die in the battlefield. So Lord, as the in charge of dharma, he is executing the things so that everybody gets their destined karma as they are supposed to suffer or enjoy. So Lord is sanctioning the system. So that in that perspective we see that etiquette was broken, or else the etiquette was always maintained. So one more story was also narrated here about Garuda and Indra. So this was in context Kashyapa Muni. He had many wives. And Kashyapa is considered as the origin of all the living entities within this universe. From humans to devatas to demigods to demons to rakshasas, asuras, kinnara, gandharva, every species have evolved from the body of Kashyapa's descendants. So there were two wives mainly for this incident. One was Kadru, the mother of serpents, and Vinata, the mother of Garuda. So by their sincere service, they satisfied Kashyapa Muni. So Kashyapa blessed them. What do they want? So Kadru said she wanted some 1,000 children who were all serpentine in nature. And Kashyapa blessed her. So then Vinata, she was also offered the benediction. She said, I don't want 1,000 children, I just want 2. But who are mighty and capable more than the 1,000 children. So she also gave birth to 2 eggs. So over a period of time, the 1,000 eggs hatched faster. And the first son to come out of Kadru was Adishesha, who became the eternal bed of the Lord. And the next one to come out was, who was that? Vasuki. And there are many other sons like Kaliya and many other children were all there, who are all mighty capacity people, mighty capacity serpents. So and Vinata, her eggs were not hatching. So one day, out of curiousness, she broke open one egg which was not fully ripened. So there came a personality who was only half developed, up to only the waist part. The lower part was not developed. He was known as Aruna, who became the charioteer of sun god. But because out of curiosity she broke open that egg, he cursed his mother that she will have to suffer as slave for so many years. Then mother requested him for forgiveness, and he blessed. When his brother will come out of the egg, then he will release his mother from that bondage of slavery. So over a period of time, the children were all growing, and there was little jealousy between the sisters, Kadru and Vinata. So one day they saw a celestial horse, Uchchaishrava, which was coming and roaming in their garden nearby. The horse was so white, so special, Uchchaishrava, where Krishna also says, among horses I am Uchchaishrava in 10th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. So the horse disappeared by the time they could understand the full view of this horse. So there was one debate whether the tail of this horse was white or not. Because the entire horse was white, but the tail was white or not. This wager was such a way that whoever gets defeated, they have to become the servant of the opposite person who was the winner. So that night, Kadru will call all her children and she will instruct them, please go and attach yourself to the tail of Uchchaishrava so that the tail appears look like black, because snakes are blackish in color. Then the children, they resist. They say, no, this is not correct, you are cheating. The mother becomes infuriated and she curses them. Since you are not obeying my order, all of you will die in Sarpa Yajna conducted by Janmejaya. Then becoming fearful, they requested, please forgive. Then she says, okay, right now do, because curse cannot be undone. But the thing is, if you don't do this, I will become slave of somebody else. I have to serve. And if I become slave, all of you also will become slave. So fearing the mother's situation, they all next day became attached to the tail. And Vinata, unknowing all these things, whatever happening, when she saw the tail was looking black from a little far distance, so she accepted defeat and she started serving Kadru and all her sons. So over a period of time, the other egg also hatched. Garuda came out. So Garuda was also serving because the snakes were demanding, you get that thing, you get this thing. Vinata was saying, you have to be obedient, we are servants, you have to serve. So Garuda was also serving. So one day he had a doubt, why I should serve somebody else? What is the reason my mother became a slave? He understood the story. Then he asked the snakes how my mother could be relieved from this curse. The snakes and their mother discussed among themselves, and they said, if you can bring us nectar, amruta, so then we will relieve you of your mother and yourself from this servitude. Now Garuda, with an aim to release his mother, he went to Swargaloka. So he wanted to capture that nectar pot, which was placed in a secret. There was like a chakra which was running around. If anybody comes there, the blades are so sharp, it will cut everybody and anybody. And if you go inside, there is one huge fireball. And inside that fireball, there were 2 snakes guarding that Amruta Kalasha. So Indra was the first person to combat with Garuda. So Garuda easily defeated Indra, and it went there, and it saw that Sudarśana discus chakra, like a chakra, it was running with so heavy speed and with a blazing fire. He became a miniature, small fly. With that small thing, he entered into the chakra, and he doused up that fire by his heavy air. And he killed that snakes inside, because Garuda will kill the snakes. So then he captured that Amruta Kalasha, and he started taking that Kalasha towards his mother without even drinking a sip of a drop of that Amruta. Seeing his sincerity, and before that actually what happened, he went on his mother's instruction, he went to take blessings from his father. Because for a long time he had not eaten anything, he went and to an island where his father was doing tapasya. There were so many demoniac people there. He devoured all of them. He met his father, he took blessings from his father, and he got guidance how to proceed in this direction also. So that's why he became successful, he became a great personality. As soon as the situation, he carried that pot without taking any drop for himself. Lord Vishnu became satisfied, and Lord Vishnu appeared in front of him. And Lord Vishnu said, my dear bird, you are such a noble personality with very good qualities. You have satisfied me, I will give you boon, whatever you want. So Garuda asked for 2 boons. So first thing he said was, I want to become immortal and also an eternal position above the Lord. So eternal position above the Lord means he became on the top of flag, who will be flying on the Lord. Arjuna's chariot was having Hanuman. So Lord's chariot will be having Garuda. So he became the chariot flag of the Lord. He will be always flying above the Lord. And being satisfied with the Lord, Garuda gave a benediction to Vishnu. So with that benediction, he became the fastest bird in this world, and he became the eternal carrier of the Lord. So Garuda immediately rose high into the sky and started traveling at a heavy speed. Seeing the entire situation, Indra became very much alarmed. He understood that this is not a common bird, that he is a great personality, great superior personality. So immediately he came in front of Garuda and he said, please do not misuse this nectar. This is meant for a specific purpose. Not everybody are qualified to drink this nectar. And he wanted to fight also. Actually, he offered his thunderbolt, Vajrayuda. So Garuda also respected the thunderbolt, Vajrayuda. And he said, see, I respect Dadichi Muni, from whose body this thunderbolt has been generated. And I respect you because you are the ruler of these 3 worlds. So as a token of punishment, Garuda, it is said, he left one feather. And when this thunderbolt struck that feather, there was a brilliant light across this entire universe. And this feather, when it fell down to the ground, it was glowing in a multi-color and it was like a very brilliant thing it was emanating. And because of this, all the rishis in that area glorified this bird by saying as superior feathers. This is why it is called as Suparna. Parna means feather, Suparna means which is glorious feather. So that's why Garuda was called as Suparna. So after respecting, then Garuda said, okay, do one thing, I will take this pot and place it near the place where it is supposed to hand over. As soon as I leave it on the ground, you come and pick it and go it away, take it away. So Indra also agreed. Now the pot was bought and there was kusha grass laid there, and the pot was placed on a kusha grass because to show respect, the kusha grass was kept there. And the snakes and their mother were informed, the nectar has been brought. Since it's an auspicious activity, all of you go take bath and come back. So all of them hurriedly went to take bath, thinking they are going to enjoy nectar, they are going to become immortal. So in the meantime, Indra came and picked up that nectar vessel and went away. And the commitment, the promise as per made, Garuda and his mother were relaxed and they were asked to go away. So Garuda took his mother and went away. The snakes, after they were taking bath, they came back there and they saw that the pot was missing. Thinking that these leaves, the darba leaves which are placed there, they might have attracted some nectar onto them. They started licking the leaves. Because these leaves were so sharp, that grass was so sharp, so the tongue became bifurcated. If you see the tongue of snakes, it is bifurcated. So their tongues became bifurcated. So in that way, the Amrita, a drop which fell on Darba, became celestial. That's why they became very respectful and they became very much worshipped in the sacrifices and by the Brahmanas in the Vedas and the Yajna. That's Darba is used. And Garuda became so special for delivering his mother. So this is the story what was recommended in this purport here by Prabhupada, the context in which how Garuda liberated his mother. And even when he was faced by the dire situation of thunderbolt, he just left as a token of respect one feather. So that is how the devotees handle the situation. It is said in the purport there in the last part. The inhabitants of higher planets are so sensible that even in the process of fighting, they observe the preliminary rules and regulations of gentleness. Garuda wanted to show respect for Indra, and since he knew that Indra's weapon must destroy something, he offered his wing. See, etiquette was followed. Even though he was superior in nature, respecting the person in the opposite position, it offered its wing and it sacrificed the purpose without disturbing the etiquette in the Vaishnava handlings. So similarly, there was one devotee by name Lilamrita. He was from the northern India, but ardent devotee of Lord Jagannatha. So he was maintaining his family with a very meager earnings, a simple job, but he was always compassionate towards all living entities. So every day he was listening to Harikatha in a temple which was happening there. And he was a very greatly learned person. Because of hearing also, he became a nice devotee with all the reference to all the Vedic scriptures. And he is a person with all regulated senses. And he was filled with life because he used to do continuous Hari Bhajana. At one particular point, he realized all the material possessions, all the family, children, wealth, everything is an attachment for him, and which is an obstacle for his devotional service. He thought, as long as I am there with them, they are only binding me in this material world, and only when I renounce them and I become a sannyasi, in a renounced spirit, I can be liberated from this material world. So with this intention, he thought, before becoming a sannyasi, he wanted to go to Jagannath Puri, have the darshan of the Lord face to face. So he started towards Jagannath Puri. It was a long journey from North India to Jagannath Puri part. So in the between, he had to cross various forests. All of them are, sometimes most of them are fearsome. He completely depended upon Lord Jagannatha, and he crossed the forest safely, and he reached the river Ganges. And because it was monsoon season, the rains were there, the river was flooding heavily, and it was almost evening part, and there was no village nearby, any reference for shelter. So he was wondering how to cross this river. Now it is going to rain heavily. In the meantime, he saw one fisherman boat doing some hereby, trying to collect some fish. The fisherman was also wondering, today he could not get much fish. So he saw one simple person standing there. He thought, if he can get him carried away to the other side, or if possible, if he can kill that person and take away, he would be carrying some wealth. And he can carry that wealth, and he and his family can survive for many days. So with that intention, he came to the ghat, and the Brahmana asked him, please take me to the other side. I'll pay you some amount. The fisherman thought that this is not an activity, so he got him saying, please come, please come. So he took him to the center of the river, where the depth is very heavy. So he wanted to push him into the water, kill him, and snatch away all his property. So when Lilamrita saw that something is not in a proper fashion, he thought this fisherman was not to be trusted. Then he said, why are you taking me to the center of the river? We are supposed to cross to the other side. Now then he understood the ill intentions. He said, what benefit are you going to get by killing me? The fisherman said, now I'll be becoming rich. The money, whatever you have, I'll take away and I'll sustain my family for a longer time. So then this Brahmana started praying to the Lord. He said, my dear Lord, my last desire before I wanted to die is to see you face to face. Please fulfill me this desire. I don't want to die without seeing your darshan. As soon as he prayed sincerely, the Lord, who cannot bear his devotee suffering, immediately appeared there as a kshatriya with a nice decoration like a prince, with a nice tilaka, with nice decorations, and his body with nice golden jewelry. On a horse he was riding there. With a bow and arrow, he started calling that fisherman, come immediately. If you try to do anything to that Brahmana, you are going to die immediately with entire your family. I have been deputed as the in charge of this area by the king, and you are doing this business of transporting people to the other side without paying tax to the king. Now you are punishable. So as soon as he said these words in a rumbling voice, like a cloud rumbling, the fisherman became very disturbed, very fearful. He started thinking, now how to save himself? If I come, this person is going to hit me or he is going to punish me. So slowly he is rowing towards the shore. Since he is taking too much time, the prince immediately shot one arrow. That arrow came and hit this boat with a heavy sound. He became very fearful and he immediately rushed to the shore. Then he started scolding him and he started devising, I am going to punish you eternally, I am going to put you in jail for your mistake of trying to cheat people and loot money. You have become a dacoit. So immediately that fisherman started shaking and he fell down at the feet and he begged forgiveness. In the meantime, the Lord in the form of that Kshatriya prince became pacified by seeing this Brahmana. He said, who are you? Why are you crossing this area without taking my permission? I am in charge of this forest. He said, my dear sir, I did not see you, or else I could have taken your permission. That's why I came to this area. So he said, thank you very much for saving my life. My life is dedicated to Lord Jagannatha. So I want to be, at least I have to have darshan of the Lord before I die. Thank you for saving me and giving me an opportunity. Please help me how I can go and have darshan of Lord Jagannatha. Then the prince instructed the fisherman to take the Brahmana to the other side without charging anything. So immediately the fisherman also agreed. So the Brahmana was placed onto the boat and Brahmana was singing and chanting, and by doing Harikatha, by Haribhajana, they crossed the river to the other side. As soon as they went to the other side, the Brahmana wanted to thank the prince for giving him this opportunity. As soon as he turned backside, there was no prince, there was no horse. So after a few days of travel, he reached Puri, and at that time it was the Ratha ceremony. The Lord came out on the chariot and the Ratha was being pulled. So when he came to Puri, when he saw the Lord on the chariot, he paid obeisances at all the three chariots, and when he came near Jagannatha, he offered sincere prayers, he became ecstatic, he started chanting, dancing in ecstasy. And out of too much excitement that he was able to see the Lord, that his heart's desire has been fulfilled, he passed away then and there immediately. And one spiritual airplane came there, picked him up and took him to Vaikuntha planet. So, the point is how the Lord is there for the protection of his devotees. Whenever they are in trouble, when they sincerely pray for the... See, here he was not asking to live for a long time so that he can enjoy material sukha. He was only praying to the Lord that he wanted to have his darshan and be in his consciousness. So this is very important lesson for us. So always not to aspire anything materially for ourselves. Always in the service of Guru and Krishna, we should always be praying for the blessings of the Lord, so that we can become a better servant in the hands of the spiritual master. So we'll see more details of this fighting in the further verses. I'll stop here. Any questions or doubts? ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की, जगत गुरु शिला प्रभुपाद की, निताय गौर प्रेमानंद।